Hello students, I am again here with one more important point in Java programming, that is constructors in Java. See, this is very much important point in Java programming. Almost all object oriented programming languages are having this constructors concept. Suppose I am creating one class here, let class student. See, student, every student is having at least two properties with them. That is let every student is having roll number, every student is having name. That's why two variables I am declaring as a part of this class student. These are just members of this class, like string name. See, name is always of data type string, and second one is roll number. I am taking roll number integer. Okay, see, this class student I have declared here, and every student is having two members, two variables, two properties like name and roll number. Now these two variables are nothing but instance variables. The variables which are declared inside class and outside all the methods, those are nothing but instance variables. Every object is having a separate copy of instance variable with it. See, suppose we are creating one object of student class that will represent one student, and that student will have name and roll number. Again, second object that is again having name and roll number, and so on. Public static void main string args. Now I can create object of this student class. How? Simple. Student s1 equal to new student. In this way we can create object of a student class. Whenever we write this type of statement, whenever this statement will get executed, internally s1 reference will be created and one object will be created of type student. Now what will happen here? Student s1 will have name and roll number with it, name and roll number. Okay. Now, what are the values inside this name and roll number? See, whenever any instance variable is there, if it is of type string, then its default value will be null. Whenever there is any integer variable, its initial value will be 0. That's why whenever s1 object will be created inside a memory, then it will have name and roll number along with it, and name will have value null, and roll number will have value 0 because it is of type string and it is of type integer. See, all basic data types are having this type of value. String is a class. For objects, always initial value will be null. Getting? In this way, inside a memory, the object will be created. Suppose I am creating one more object like student s2 equals to new student. Now again one more object will be created s2. S2 is a reference, and inside a memory the object will be created. It will again have name and roll number along with it. Getting? Now suppose I just want to provide initialization for name and roll number for every object. Then what I can do? For that I can write a method. See, you know, we can write a method like this. Suppose the method is set data. Then how we can write method like void set data. I will just pass two arguments to this method, one for name, second for roll number. How to pass? Simple. Name is of type string, let string s I am passing, and second roll number. For that I can pass one integer argument like r. Now here we have to write like this: name equal to s and roll number equal to r. In this way, now we can call this setData method for all objects one by one for initializing these instance variables for those objects. Suppose I am calling like this s1 dot set data. Now I have to pass name and roll number here. Suppose name is Nitin and roll number is 101. Again, for s2 we have to call explicitly the setData method, like name is suppose Ramesh and 102. Let. Getting? In this way we can set initial values to the variables or instance variables for those objects. Now see here, whatever created objects, for all objects we have to call this set data method explicitly, then only the members like name and roll number will be initialized. Now this is not a good practice. Instead of that, Java has provided one special thing, that is nothing but a constructor. Okay, that constructor will be automatically called whenever object is created. Means whenever any object is created, for that the constructor will get automatically called. No need to call it explicitly. Means this overhead will be reduced if we use constructors in class. Getting? Now how to write constructor, that part I am going to explain. Now see, what is the need of constructor? Are you getting? To initialize the members of the class, we can use constructor concept. To initialize instance variables, to give initial value to the instance variable, we can use constructors concept. Instead of writing methods for initializing the instance variables, we can write constructor. Why? Because if we write method to initialize the instance variable, then we have to call it explicitly for each and every object. Okay, but if we write a constructor instead of that, then that constructor will be called automatically after creation of object. Getting? No need to call it explicitly. This is the need of constructor. Now how to write constructor, that part I am going to explain. See, the name of class is student and it is having two instance variables, name and roll number. Now I just want to write a constructor for initializing these members of the class. Now how to write constructor? Simple way, just see the name of class. The name of constructor is same as the name of class. Now we have to write like student here. Now whatever members or instance variable, for those instance variables we have to pass arguments to that constructor. Now here the first instance variable is a name of type string. That argument we have to pass like name. Okay, it is not compulsory, but always make a practice like this. Any number of arguments constructor may take. It is not compulsory to pass all this, but see here main basic purpose is for writing this constructor is to initialize the variables, instance variables. That's why you have to compulsory pass all those arguments. The second one is roll number. Int roll number. See here I am just using same identifiers for giving these formal arguments like name and roll number. Now here how we can assign value to this name and roll number with the help of assignment operator. Now see, just write like this. This dot name equals to name, and second one is this dot roll number equal to roll number. Now see, what is this? This is a keyword present in Java that we can use to just refer the current object or calling object. To refer calling object we can use this keyword, and with the help of this keyword we can just access the instance variables for that particular object. Getting? I am going to explain, don't worry how it will get executed. First we will write main method like public static void main string array args. Now we have to create object simple the same way like student s1 equal to new student, but here we have to compulsory pass two arguments while creating the object. Whenever we write any constructor, see this one is a constructor. I will explain everything how it will get executed. But see, this is a constructor. Constructor name is same as a class name. And whenever we create any object, then we have to compulsory pass the arguments. Now here I am passing the first argument like the name is Nitin and comma. Here we have to pass the second one is let 101 is the roll number. Now second object I am creating, one more object I am creating like student s2 equal to new student, and here name is suppose Ramesh and 102. Getting? Now what will happen here? Whenever we create the first object, the object will be created because of this new operator in this way, and this is nothing but a constructor call. See, this part is nothing but a constructor call. Now this constructor will be called. The first argument will get copied inside this name variable. Second argument will get copied inside this roll number. Now this name will have Nitin, roll number will have 101 value. Now here this dot name is equal to name. What does this dot name means? See, this dot name means the calling object's name. Now which is the calling object? S1 is the calling object because this constructor will be called for that newly created object. Now newly created object is nothing but S1, this one, and for that object this constructor has called, and now for that object's name is equal to name. Now that object's name is nothing but this one, that is currently null, because whenever we create any object with the help of new operator, first the object will be created inside a memory in the same way, just like in the absence of constructor. We have already discussed how the object will be created inside a memory. Now whenever we create object like this, student S1 equal to new student, and here we are passing arguments. Now because of this new keyword, this type of object will be created inside a memory. The variables will have default values initially. After creation of objects, constructor will get called automatically. Okay, just after creation of object, the constructor will get called automatically, and now because of that, constructor for that S1 object will be called. Now this dot name will refer to this thing, this data member, this memory location. Okay, is equal to name. Now name is nothing but Nitin, because Nitin has copied inside name, 101 has copied inside roll number. Now Nitin will get assigned to this dot name. This dot name is this one, is equal to Nitin now. Okay, this dot roll number means this one is equal to roll number. Roll number is 101, that will get copied here. Now 0 will get replaced by 101. Getting how it works? See, whenever the object is created, automatically the constructor will be called for that particular object. Okay, now second object we are creating, initially inside the memory this object is not there. See, whenever the second statement will get executed, like student S2 equal to new student. Now S2 reference will be created and the object will be created inside a memory in this way. Now it will have internally all the instance variables like name, roll number. Here name, for name the memory will be allocated, and for roll number again memory will be created. The combination of name and roll number is nothing but that object. Now see, because of this new keyword, this object has created in this way, and initially the value will be null and 0 as it is. Okay, now JVM will call the constructor as soon as the object is created. Okay, now constructor is like this. Here we are calling like student and we are passing 2 arguments. The same thing is here, student having 2 arguments. That's why this constructor will be called. And here the first string argument will get copied inside this name argument, name variable. Like here there will be Ramesh, and inside this roll number there is a 102 value. Now this dot name, now currently this constructor has called by this S2 object. Okay, the newly created object. For that newly created object, the constructor will be called, and the newly created object is nothing but S2. This dot name is nothing but S2 dot name. Getting? Now S2 dot name equals to name. Name is nothing but Ramesh. That will get replaced here at the place of null. For that name, Ramesh value will be assigned, and for roll number 102 value will be assigned. In this way the working is. Getting? This is the concept of constructor. Constructor, you can say that it is a special part of a class. Okay, it is like a method which is having same name as a class name, and it can have arguments. Whenever any object is created, automatically the constructor will be called for that object. In the same way you have to write constructor, always keep in mind. Okay, now there are some rules while writing this constructor, those I am going to discuss. See here, the first rule is name of a class and name of constructor is always same. Okay, name of a class and name of constructor is always same. The second rule is for modifiers. See, access modifier, what is the access modifier? This class student, currently it is having default access modifier. Means this class you can access inside the package only. The same access modifier is here for this constructor. See here, again I have not written anything. Whenever we are not mentioning any access modifier, then by default it will be default access modifier. Getting? Now currently this constructor is having default access modifier. Default means package access is there, means we can create object in the same package only. Getting? See, only public, private, default and protected, these access modifiers are applicable for constructors. No any other access modifier is applicable. Keep in mind, for constructors only public, default, protected and private, these access modifiers are applicable. Get it? Other access modifiers like final, synchronized, then volatile, these access modifiers are not applicable for constructors. Here the public access modifier is there, then you can create object of this class anywhere, because of course the class is again public. Whenever the constructor is having default access modifier, then you can create object of this class within the package only. Outside that package you cannot create the object. If a constructor is having protected access modifier, see what is the meaning of protected access modifier? You can access it within the package and outside the package if there is any child class. The same thing is applicable for constructor also. If any constructor is declared as a protected, then you can create object in the same package and in the child class of this class. Okay, and the last one is private. See, if any constructor is private, then you can create object of that class within the class only. Okay, means here if this constructor is private, no problem, because in the same class we are creating object of that class. Getting? In this way. The third rule, very much important rule, that constructor is not having any return type, not even void. See, this is very much important rule about constructors. Constructor is not having any return type, not even void. See, here I have not written any return type. Don't write here even void. If you have written here void, the meaning is this is not a constructor, this is a method of a class. Getting? You will not get any type of error in this case, but this will not be treated as a constructor. You cannot pass arguments while creation of object in this case, because now this class is not having this constructor. Here, because you are providing void return type to this part, you will not get error. The error will be because of this thing, because this is now a method of a class. This is not a constructor. You can give same name to the method like a class name, no problem will be there. But now this is a method, you cannot call this at the time of creation of object. Okay, you can call it explicitly just like other methods. Getting? Simple. Suppose we have created any object of type student, like student s1 equal to new student. In this way you have to create object compulsory, because currently this class is not having any constructor. Actually, whenever you are not writing any constructor inside a class, then compiler will provide a default constructor. Okay, compiler will provide a default constructor. Now this class is not having any constructor, compiler has provided default constructor, and default constructor is always a no argument constructor, means don't pass anything here. Okay, now no error will be there, but see, we can call this using this statement like s1 dot student, and then you can pass arguments, let ram comma 102 anything. Okay, in this way now you can call a method. This is now a method. Always keep in mind, constructor is not taking any return type, not even void. This is wrong. If you want that, this should be a constructor. Getting? Now you can call this constructor by passing arguments here. Getting? Now it's okay. Now this is a constructor. Okay. Now one more point you have to keep in mind, that if you have not written any constructor in a class, then compiler will provide a constructor, and that is called as a default constructor. For example, let us see class ABC, any name you can give. Now here I am not writing anything, but here I am just writing public static void main. Okay, now we can create an object of this class. Yes, of course we can create, let obj1 equal to new ABC. In this way we can create objects. What will happen? Because of new keyword, the new object will be created, and for that object a default constructor will be called automatically, because whenever we are not writing any constructor inside a class, then compiler will automatically provide a default constructor for that class. See, default constructor means no argument constructor. See, don't think like if a constructor is not taking any argument, then it is a default constructor. No, that type of terminology is not there in Java. Always keep in mind, no argument constructor is different, default constructor is different. Actually, default constructor is always a no argument constructor. Getting? Compiler will internally provide this constructor like ABC, and in this way. Okay, and there is one statement like super. Okay, super, and here just like a method call I have written super here. There is a super keyword present in Java. Okay, only super and super method call. This type of terminology is there in Java, that I am going to explain everything in the coming sessions. Don't worry about that. But here keep in mind this super and here method call like statement I have written. This is nothing but calling a base class constructor. See, this is a default constructor which is provided by the compiler, Java compiler automatically. Whenever we create any object, automatically this constructor will be called. And see here, this super means here automatically the base class constructor will be called. Now here, which is the base class? Object is a base class. Object is a base class for all Java classes. That's why automatically constructor which is present inside that object class, that will be called. Okay, but here see, default constructor will have the modifier same as a modifier for that class. If that class is public, then that default constructor will have public access modifier. If the class is having no any access modifier, means if default access modifier is there, then automatically that constructor will also have a default access modifier. Only default and public is applicable here. See, this is a top level class. For the top level class, always only default and public is allowed. Okay, that's why no any other modifier will be there for this default constructor which is provided by compiler. We are not writing this one. See, okay, but we can write this type of constructor also in a program. See, here I can write a statement like this. Suppose I have written this constructor, then I can write like this: system dot out dot println let hello. Now what will happen? Whenever this object will be created, automatically the default constructor will be called. Here no need to pass any argument. Of course, this constructor is not taking any argument. This constructor will be called and hello will be printed onto the output screen. Getting? In the same way, we can create any number of objects. For all objects separately, this default constructor will be called. Here I am creating, suppose, one more object. 2 times hello message will get displayed onto the output screen. Getting? If we are not writing any constructor in a class, then only compiler will provide a default constructor. If we are writing any constructor in a class, means whether it is taking any argument, if it is not taking any argument, in all cases compiler will not provide a default constructor. Now if we have written any no argument constructor in a class, then only we can create object like this. Suppose this constructor is taking any type of argument, let this is taking one integer argument, let integer I, okay, then in this case we cannot create object like this. There is a compulsion now to pass one integer argument while creation of object, okay, getting my point? In this case you will get error, because so you cannot think like this, here I have written constructor with one integer argument, compiler will provide a default constructor. In this case whatever provided default constructor, that will be called, not like this. See, if you are writing any constructor in a class, then compiler will not provide a default constructor. Here you will get of course error, okay, just check it out. Here you have to compulsory pass any integer value, then only this constructor will be called. Here you can use that I value, okay. If there is an instance variable, for that you can do assignment, initialization also with the help of arguments. Getting? This is some introductory part about constructors. In this session we have seen what is constructor, what is the need of constructor, how to write a constructor, okay. Then some rules about the constructor, like constructor is having same name as a class name, constructor is not having any return type, not even void. The possible access modifiers for that constructors are like public, private, protected and default. No any other modifier like final, static is allowed for constructors. Getting? Constructor cannot be a static. See, constructor is for objects. Constructor belongs to the object. Whenever an object is created, then constructor will be called automatically. You cannot define a constructor with static keyword. Getting? Then next point is, if we are not writing any constructor in a class, then compiler will provide a constructor, provide a default constructor. Getting? If we are not writing, then only. See, default constructor is always no argument constructor. We can also write a no argument constructor in a class. No argument constructor is not a default constructor. Okay? These are some points we have seen in this lecture. In the next session, we will see constructor overloading concept. Till that, take care. Bye-bye. Thank you.